Hello Leo friends, I'm Annie Botticelli and welcome to my April 2020 horoscope report for you. In this video, it's my intention to help you make the most of all the astrological potentials to make this your best month possible. I love the idea of using astrology to make your life better. That is my main intention for using astrology besides deep spiritual conscious evolution. And so you will see all of those energies permeate through the reading because that is what my main mission is. Okay, so we're going to talk about some very important dates to note. We're going to talk about Venus retrograde because the shadow period of Venus retrograde is going to be starting and getting very strong this month. Venus rules a lot of areas of life, so you really want to understand what's happening there. And we're going to talk about areas of life that are highlighted for Leo and how the general energies of the stars are going to affect you this month. Okay, so the first thing that I just can't wait to share, and I'm not going to put it off any longer, is to tell you how excited I am that all the personal planets are on your side this month. It's rare that this happens. Sometimes we'll have a couple of planets that are moving in a nice harmonious angle for our sign. I'm not a Leo, but I mean like our respective signs. But I am a fire sign. So your triumph and happiness is also my triumph and happiness. So I am so excited about this month for fire signs, okay? And the reason is because the sun is moving through Aries, which is going to make beautiful kisses to your Leo placement. This is very exciting. We were going to have Venus moving through Gemini, which is also going to make kisses to your placement. We're going to have Mercury is doing a little bit of the last movement through Pisces, which is still kind of working out some emotional things. But then it's going to get into Aries, which is going to make kisses to your placements. And then Mars is going to be moving through Aquarius, which is in an air sign, which is very favorable for fire. Now, Aquarius energies are opposite the Leo energy. So anything that moves through Aquarius creates a situation of overstimulation for you, okay? So yourself versus other people, like you and your relationships, that's going to come up in a big way with this because the cusp of your individuality and the cusp of your relationships are both being stimulated in this angle from Mars, and Mars rules action and activity. But it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It can just be that you have a lot of things going on personally and your relationship has a lot of things going on. Those things can be wonderful and amazing. It definitely shows a focus on relationships for sure this month. Mars can bring some combative energy and some argumentative energy, but everything else in the stars for you is just so positive and supportive that it definitely increases the odds that solutions can come from any conflicts that come. Okay, so let's see. About Mars, okay, so in general this month, because of the Aries energy and also because of the fact that we are not, like from March 30th through April 9th, we have no personal planet retrograde influence whatsoever. It's the last period of time for the entire year of 2020 that this is true. There's just this massive amount of momentum of moving forward, okay? So, zest, oomph, just things just pushing forward. Your international travel sector is going to be highlighted. So you might find yourself traveling to a different country or making plans for future travel to a different country or doing something that involves international business or connecting with people from different countries, even if you're staying in your own. It can involve languages. It can also involve writing, publishing, editing, teaching, and learning. So you might find a perfect school program. You might take your things that you've learned to another level of you teaching. If you're already a teacher, you might find that you're in the teaching spotlight or there are some changes or some recognition with your teaching. So this area is going to be beautifully lit up for you. So I'm excited to see what kinds of things may show up. Okay, so now we have to really get down into the nitty-gritty about what is best to do when the personal planet retrogrades are not influencing and what is best to do when the personal planet retrogrades are influencing and what this all means, okay? Personal planet retrogrades, when we talk about those, we're talking about Mercury, Venus, and Mars. Those are the only the things that we call personal planets that move retrograde, okay? So this year we've got 3 Mercury retrogrades, which is normal. We have 1 Venus retrograde and 1 Mars retrograde, and that doesn't happen every year. So when the retrogrades occur, it brings this energy of things coming from the past, inward, more focused around you, closer around you, and things coming from the past. Okay, that doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't necessarily it doesn't have anything associated with it that's bad or good per se. It can be either. It can be both. If there are issues from the past, especially along the lines of where the retrograde shows up in your chart, which we're going to talk about next month, or the topics that the planet rules, so in this case Venus, that's going to bring things from the past in those arenas. So Venus rules love and relationships, money and your finances, self-esteem, how you feel about yourself, and design projects, including anything having to do with like doing stuff to your body, wardrobe, hairstyle, like physical beauty, aesthetics in your home, design projects, excuse me, architectural drawings, sprucing up, painting around your house, getting furniture, things like that. So you can see this has a huge dominion. It covers a massive amount of space in our lives, okay? The retrograde is going to be from May 13th through June 25th, but there's the pre-transit shadow period that starts April 10th. There's the post-shadow transit that goes through the end of July. So we're talking about April, May, June, July, like almost 4 full months of this Venus retrograde. So I've created tons of resources for you to just really understand this well. I'm going to cover some of it now. We're going to cover more next month, and you can see my blogs and other video on this topic. If you just search for Annie Botticelli Venus retrograde, you'll find my video on YouTube. I have a Venus retrograde blog series of Venus retrograde through all the signs and houses. You can get a leg up on reading about Venus retrograde in Gemini because that's the sign that it's going to be retrograde in. But in general, to best use and strategize your energy this month, we want to see where to put things, okay? So there's like 2 distinct periods of time in April. There's basically the March 30th through April 9th period of time, which is the open window free from the personal planet retrogrades. Then there's April 10th through the rest of the month, where we get deeper into Venus retrograde. So just to be very clear, there are so many things you can do in Venus retrograde. Some people think, I can't do anything. It's not true. It's so not true. But what the time not in retrograde is good for, so this March 30th through April 9th, is amazing for launches, bringing your lifelong things out for the first time, major births, things that have high stakes attached to them, things that are expensive, hard to change, like new big launches, publishing a book, like bringing something out in a big way. Major decisions, major agreements, major contracts, anything that's high stakes or that you want to last a long time. And what you're doing is, you're intending to build over time or to be a long-term project. Those are the things that you want, and the things that require oomph and momentum. Okay, you're going to have so much oomph and momentum in this time at the end of March through April 9th because you won't have the retrogrades. You'll have the planets moving through Aries, the energy of Aries really dominating. You're starting to just be very, very strong. And it's like this push, this like burst of, of energy. So that's what you want to try to use it for. And as you research my Venus retrograde things, I'll mention a couple of things here, but then look into my other resources as well. The things that are not the best things to do in Venus retrograde, if you're thinking you're going to want to be doing those over the next few months, you might want to move that up to this window because there are certain things that are better not to do in the retrograde that if you know them ahead of time, which is why I tell you all this, that you can push them into that slot. Okay, so now what is good to do during the retrogrades and fine to do during the retrogrades? Anything short term, if you want to take a course or do something, it's 6 months, 9 months, up to a year or something, like short-term commitments, low stakes commitments, something that's flexible, something that's experimental, you're trying it on, business as usual, going back to past projects and breathing life into them, going back to something from the past and bringing out, updated things, editing things that you've already done, tweaking or polishing things you've already done that are already out, just kind of working on them. All that stuff is fine. Retrograde's perfectly fine, normal, perfect for that. Anything that doesn't cost a lot of money, anything that's easy to change, all of that stuff is totally fine during the retrogrades. Okay, because the stakes are low, right? So now, with Venus retrograde coming, what Venus does is it brings back this energy from the past. That means you can have money come from the past. That means you can have love come from the past. Many people who are separated from their love for one reason or another, maybe they're in a different country, or maybe they're, they've separated. Sometimes Venus retrograde brings that person back to you. See, it brings love back from the past. Or if you're in a relationship, sometimes you can have a new, like a renaissance again in your relationship. You go back to doing things you used to do, the love comes back in the relationship. These are all very positive things that tend to happen. Some of the things that are not as fun, but can be super productive, is that anything that's not resolved often comes up in the Venus retrograde. So we sweep things under the rug when everything's direct. We're like going forward, like, we'll deal with that later, we'll deal with that later. The retrograde's rug comes up, stuff goes flying all over. So if you have a relationship with money issue, if you have a financial issue that's been, something's not been sustainable and it's just been percolating as a problem. If you've had a relationship issue that comes up all the time, this thing is coming up again. If it's not solved, if it's not healed, it's probably going to come back up again. Or a discussion. Maybe you've discussed in the past having children, and this can bring up the discussion. That could be super positive, you see? So I'm trying to give you the building blocks of understanding the transit so that you can fill in the understanding with all of these things that I'm not talking about that are going to come up, that you can apply the information I'm giving you towards those. Okay, so in general, what happens in a Venus retrograde is that we put these glasses on, these big goggly glasses, and we wear them throughout the shadow period, throughout the whole retrograde. So for 4 months, you're going to have these crazy goggle glasses on. And what these glasses do is they make you not see clearly in love, in design projects, in aesthetics, in money. That's why in general, it's cautioned to not make major love decisions, to not make major love moves or money moves or expenditures, or to, redecorate your whole house if you can't, like if that's expensive for you. I'm sure there are people that can redecorate their whole house and spend $10,000 or more. And after the retrograde, if they hate it, which often happens when people redecorate during the retrograde, by the way, which is why we try to advise against it. If then they can spend another $10,000, do it again because the stakes were low for them, that's a personal thing, then it doesn't matter. Do whatever the heck you want. But for the people for whom $10,000 redecorating their house and taking the time is a high stakes operation, you might not be seeing clearly. It increases the odds. This transit increases the odds of you looking back over the transit and saying, what was I thinking? In the areas of love, beauty, money, design, okay? So knowing this, if you just hold this with you throughout the transit, kind of like I had this situation I'd like to share about these boots that I had, okay? I had these boots. They were my favorite boots. They're so comfortable. They were just the best things ever, and I loved them. And during a Venus retrograde, I had this idea for whatever reason that I was going to just get rid of them. And I almost did. I was clearing stuff out. I was like, whatever. And then I decided not to because I heard myself saying, Annie, it's Venus retrograde, maybe you should wait till after to make sure you still really want to do that. And then it's a good thing I didn't, because every time I've worn the boots since then, I've been so glad because I wasn't seeing clearly. But because of the knowledge of what the transit brings, I talked myself out of it, at least said, why don't you wait until the time where you'd be more clear, then make your decision then. And I had changed my mind. So that's a silly, superficial, not really high stakes thing, but you're going to have these opportunities and these things from major to minor, and minor to major, that come up along these lines. And for whatever weird humor, the universe has a sense of humor. The things that you're not supposed to do during Venus retrograde, people want to do them. They want to, do something to their bodies that's permanent in Venus retrograde. That's not the best time to do it. It's a fine time to research it, interview people who might do something if you were getting a tattoo or doing something else permanent to your body. Now, just please hear that things like surgeries for medical reasons are not ruled by Venus retrograde. The only way Venus retrograde comes into consideration with a surgery is possibly with aesthetics or scarring. So you might need to do a little bit more work to avoid scarring if that's an issue for you if you get some kind of surgery. But if it's medically necessary and if it's a life or death, don't worry about it. Venus retrograde does not rule any of those things at all. Okay, there's rulership with Mars retrograde for that. There's rulership for Mercury retrograde with that. But the Venus retrograde for like medical surgeries, there's no rulership there. It's just like the optional beauty-related things that people do that are ruled there. So the odds that it might not work out the way you want it to are increased during that time. So if you got to do those things, do them in the earlier part with a March 30th through April 9th. See what I mean? So this is why I spend so much time trying to help you understand this, because if you know this moving forward, and this is also why I deliver these to you a month early, because if you know this, you know it for your planning purposes, you know when you're not supposed to do it, you know when you can do it, then you can get your ducks in a row, right? I'm going to help you have your ducks in a row. Okay, so in general, super crazy, positive, awesome potentials for Leo this month, even though the sweet aspects and the salty aspects are even. They're the same amount of ones that could go either way. Because of the way that these planets are interacting with your placements, it makes it more likely that it'll kick over to the positive. And also our perspective, like you looking at things, being positive, keeping your sense of humor, all make it more likely that these things will be super positive. Okay, so if you want a write-up of what the salty aspects are, what the sweet ones are, what dates they are, what you can expect from them, plus a written write-up of the tone of the month and the things to expect, delivered in your inbox 1 month early, go to anniehelpsyou.com to sign up for my free email newsletter. I don't send out very many newsletters. I'm very careful. I baby my email group, so you're not going to get a bunch of stuff from me. I just send out 3 things a month that have value, things that I'm trying to mark and help you with, and you'll get that write-up. If you would like to learn astrology, to have it for professional purposes or to do it for personal reasons, like you just love astrology, you can't get enough of it, you resonate with how I teach, you will love my course called Becoming a Professional Astrologer Mastery Course, formerly known as the Astrology Apprenticeship Program. You can see this at anniehelpsyou.com. You can see this at my school, Luminous Life Multiversity, which is LUMLife, L-U-M-E, life.com. And also all of these links are in the notes underneath the video. If you click on the See More button, it will reveal the notes and you'll see all the links there. But this course, it will just blow your mind. It is so detailed, self-study, but you have access for questions, as you're studying to answer questions. It's such a great course. I'm so excited about it. If you resonate with how I teach, you will totally love it, whether you want to do it professionally or whether you just want to help your friends and do it for yourself. Okay, if you want written horoscopes by me, then go to cozybysweetstarlight.com. CozyBySweetStarlight.com has my written horoscopes 1 month early. I have blogs about maximizing the sun's movement through the signs, yoga through the signs, herbal tea blends through the signs. It's just a beautiful astrology-kissed, happy, healthy lifestyle website that is so gorgeous to look at, and it just will make you feel good to see it. So CozyBySweetStarlight.com. If you want to check out the resources on Venus retrograde, which I highly recommend, search for Annie Botticelli Venus retrograde. My YouTube video will come up. And if you go to anniehelpsyou.com and search for Venus retrograde in my astrology blog, you'll see my whole Venus retrograde series come up. I also have Maximizing Personal Planets in Retrogrades blog, which will tell you all the beautiful things that are great to do during the retrogrades. And I also have a nice blog about Venus retrograde at birth. People who are born with Venus retrograde, or if you're a parent and you're expecting your child will have Venus in retrograde, just wonderful attributes. I have heard of people just being very negative about Venus retrograde in the natal chart, and I'm an optimist, and I like to focus on positive things while still helping you understand the challenges that could come in. So I wrote this blog to help you understand what the beautiful aspects of having Venus retrograde at birth are. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.